Right, here we go. Let's see how this Zoom broadcast does. Should we start now as a little bit of a test? Yeah, so we're 2 minutes early. So, hey, and welcome to everyone who's viewing this Zoom broadcast where, I really wanted to have an opportunity about yboo's big data offer to virtual operators, mobile operators in the UK to help you guys understand what we can actually do for you in terms of proposition building. And I think we've got a unique view on it and lots of unique proprietary data that we've collected that can really help you address the needs of the UK market by ascertaining what people actually need, linking that back to real consumer data, comparing that to the whole of the UK market, and then launching a product or service. So I'm going to go through this really slowly. Hi, is that Rob? Can you see me okay?
Hi Martin, it is Rob. Yeah, I've had to dial in because I'm on my work PC, which won't let me install anything.
Oh, no problem. Okay, so I'm basically using this as a trial, Rob. So I'm hopefully, so you're not going to be able to see the screen, so you're not going to be able to see anything that I point to. But basically, obviously, you can ask any questions as we go along, and you can, I'm sure there might be a couple of other participants joining. But you can ask questions via voice. I might have to mute you because you've got a bit of background noise there, but we'll see how we get on if that's okay.
Yeah, well, happy to raise questions when prompted, Martin. So if you want to mute me to keep the quality of the presentation up, that's absolutely fine.
Brilliant. I'm going to do that. So I'm just going to put you on mute, and we're going to need to see. Maybe we can address questions afterwards, because if you're on mute, you're going to have no way of letting me know that you want to ask a question.
Indeed.
So a little bit tricky. So I'm going to put you on mute now. I'll send you a link to the video call where you'll be able to see the presentation that's behind me, and then maybe you can ask questions afterwards if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Super,
brilliant. Great. Okay, so let's carry on. Rob's joined, and I think there's a couple of other people in the queue as well. As I said to Rob there, what I'll do is I'll send a URL to this presentation, including the video and sound, which you can watch after today, and I'll post it in my LinkedIn group if that's okay. So just to recap, yboo obviously is a shared service for consumers. Download the app, use your smartphone as normal, sit back and wait for yboo's recommendations about which network operator and deal are really best for you. And because we have a good number of users using the service, and we profile users in terms of their text, voice, data, Wi-Fi data usage, including international traffic, we're starting to build a rich meta model of real consumers in the UK who have a profile and are using a price comparison service to check their usage against the whole of the UK market. And I guess that's number one important point. Not only does yboo have access to rich data relating to consumer behavior across all those data sets, but it's also consumers who are actively using a price comparison service to get a better deal. So they're educated consumers that are early adopters. So let's go through what we offer in a really logical way. Every time somebody downloads yboo as a consumer, we allocate them a unique reference number. That unique reference number and their device ID is the basis of a meta model. The user's anonymous, we don't know anything about them at the moment, and there's no registration via social media. So we have a device ID and a unique reference number that's linked to usage across text, voice, data, mobile data. And we build that meta model out to give us a picture of where the user is, so their physical location, what the signal strength is at their physical location, what device they have currently, and what operating system that device runs on, the signal strength, but mainly focused around data upload, whether it's 3G or 4G, and obviously when they transfer to Wi-Fi. And other component parts about their usage, such as the time of day when they're accessing Wi-Fi versus mobile data, the day of the week, if there's any consistency in patterns to their physical location, where they hang out, where they work, where they go to the gym, etc. And all this rich information is used to build a meta model about that customer, including, of course, their current mobile network. We always know that. We know that from the operating system. And we're using this information to build a meta model, and we're saying to operators, look, if you want to build a proposition, let's work together to understand how our data can help you. You've got a rich behavioral context in a meta model, and you know that consumers actively using a price comparison service. So the first thing we look at is, you know, how do you normally address pricing and proposition as an organization? And we normally get to the stage where, apologies, but this is backwards because I'm using a forward-facing camera. We actually get to a situation where most operators will allocate a customer persona to 5 or 6 unique usage profiles. And what they do is they build their proposition and their services and their pricing around those 5 or 6 persona. And the 5 or 6 persona, you know, span a broad usage pattern in the UK, everything from a very low user to a very, very high user. And you might get one of them that makes a lot of international calls or sends a lot of international text. So the first thing that we can do at yboo is we can have a look at these personas, and I've named them up here on the form, which you're probably not going to be able to see. And the first thing we can do is put some real sense around that. So from the 6 personas that you've identified, how many of those really exist in the land of yboo users? How many people that match that profile are actively searching for a better deal? So that's one really, really interesting data point. I think the second data point is, from those 6 personas, which networks are they actually on at the moment? So if I'm launching an MVNO and it's going to be Martin's mobile, I want to know what networks those 6 personas are currently on, because it's very likely those personas are going to be my target market, or at least I'm going to make a couple of them my target market. So how many of them are in yboo? What networks are they currently on? And we can return that against each of these 6 personas, and we can also give you a service signal strength breakdown for all of those users. So generally, the persona called Anne, there's 2,300 of them in yboo that match that profile, 2,300 unique users. 70% of them are on this network, which if you want to target Anne's persona, you're going to have to actively target that network and come up with a better proposition. And 70% of them, because they're on that network, receive this average level of signal strength whilst they're moving around with their smartphone, work, home, gym, pub, whatever, picking the kids up from school. So a really, really rich amount of data. And then we come on to the second part. You know, if we are targeting these personas and we know a lot about them, and we'll stick with Anne for the moment because she's quite interesting, which network is top in terms of results? So every time that we collect a customer persona, we make recommendations from 1 to 300, I think it is at the moment, ranked from the lowest price, the most competitive deal, to the highest price, the least competitive deal. So let's run the machine. Let's see which operators in the UK are actually in 1 to 10 and are most effective, are the best match for Anne as a customer persona. So we can rank them in price, and we can rank them by brand. And that is really, really, again, a second part of our proposition, which is fantastically interesting. And obviously we've got 6 personas here, which you can see, but we can rank operators from 1 to 10 for every single persona there. And we can work with new operators or existing operators to say, we've run the machine for these personas, it's 1 to 10. Let's have a look at which ones are more interesting to you and which ones you actually want to target. And then we can start to design a proposition that would target that particular data set. And I guess, you know, you could, I've had a few conversations about this over the last kind of 7 to 10 days. And a lot of people are saying, yeah, you know, the consultancy is really, really valuable. And the personas are generally made up by operators, obviously, based on their own user base. Not probably the smartest way to attack the problem, because if you're creating personas based on the customers that you already have, you can see there's a disjoint in the data there. If you create personas of the customers that you want to attack, establish how many of them are probably in the UK market, establish which networks are currently the most effective for those customers, and then build a proposition. It's kind of a smarter, logical way to attack that wide and rich customer base. Just moving on from there, when we've identified where you would be, so where would Martin Mobile, the MVNO, be in that list of results? What would I need to build in Martin Mobile to be number 1 and make sure that I'm at the top of Anne's recommendations? Because I really want to target Persona 5, which is Anne. I recognise that's a valuable target market for me. Well, the next step, when we built the proposition to target that persona 5, which is Anne, is quite simply, we work out the average margin per user, not the ARPU, that's different, okay? So ARPU, average revenue per user, really, really interesting. We're going to look at the margin per that persona to validate the business plan about the type of customer that Martin Mobile, the MVNO, is actually addressing. And you can see here through quite a potted process that I've explained, and this is going to be turned into a pretty infographic, by the way, over the next 7 to 10 days. The process that we go through is very, very logical. Target Anne with a proposition, work out your margin. Would you be number 1 in the results? What if you tailored it a bit for Anne, if the price went up or down, or a data allowance went up or down, or other allowances went up and down? What would happen if you gave Anne free access to Facebook and other popular social media channels? How much of the bundle would Anne utilise? Would she be at 90% consumption? Would she go out of bundle on some of your plans? And this proposition modelling, based on real consumer data in the UK, is incredibly powerful. I'm going to leave it there because no one's got the opportunity on this webinar to ask any questions. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to post a link in my LinkedIn group. Sorry, I'm obsessed with Facebook. We've done Facebook Live all day. I'm going to post a link in my LinkedIn group with a copy of the this image. It's a bit scruffy, sorry, because it's from an actual workshop that we did on the fly. And I'm going to arrange another webinar, probably in 2 weeks' time, to go through the actual infographic, which is a bit more structured and gives actual examples of the average margin per user based on 3 usage profiles and based on networks that we all know and we all love in the UK because we buy things from these guys. So we can do some proper, detailed proposition, pricing, and product analysis, but very much focused on the margin. Thanks for joining. I really appreciate it. I'm going to leave it now and I'm going to crack on with my actions and post the links. If you have any questions, you know how to get hold of me. Drop me a text or send me a message through LinkedIn. Thanks a lot, guys. Cheers.